this is my persuasive speech on whether or not college athletes should be paid. For the past decade, the argument of whether or not college athletes should be paid has been at the forefront of the entire National Collegiate Athletic Association, otherwise known as the NCAA. This controversy indirectly and directly affects every single parent and student in the United States and world. I'm going to give you two scenarios. Scenario A is a 23-year-old who works 41 hours a week and receives around $70,000 annually for his work. Scenario B features a 23-year-old who receives a free education but has to fight to afford food every night and sometimes goes to bed hungry. If you guessed that scenario B was a college athlete, then you would be very correct. The debate has heated over recent years as college athletes have actually formed a union which was started by Northwestern University in Chicago, Illinois, to help have a say in getting paid. The demands as an athlete has also heightened over the years as there's more demands on these athletes to be better and to put in more hours weekly. With schoolwork and athletics, there's no real time for these athletes to have any free time or time to actually work a job. With the NCAA bringing in close to $1 billion per year in revenue and not having to pay its quote-unquote workers, which are the athletes, it is a wonder why athletes are not being paid. How fair is it that an association can bring in almost $1 billion annually and not to pay the duty or have to pay the entertainers, which are the athletes, for bringing in fans to their venues? All professional sports associations are paying their players. Why is the NCAA any different? Because the student athletes are 23 years old is why some might argue maybe they're too young. But in reality, some professional athletes are actually younger than these college athletes. They're attaining just how college athletes are, but we're rewarding professional athletes by not pursuing a college education if they decide to leave professionally instead of getting their 4-year degree. And if you think that athletes actually have it easy and are receiving free education, then you should think again. Only 60% of athletes are actually on scholarship according to CBS Sports. To be exact, the NCAA brought in $912 billion in 2014, and 80 of which came from TV deals, according to ESPN, a leader in sports. With the NCAA bringing in so much in a yearly, there's no reason athletes should not receive some sort of sum of money to be paid. According to another survey conducted by the NCAA last year, the average college football player put in around 43.1 hours per week of schoolwork and athletics. 31 hours of the 43 actually came from athletics itself and the rest doing schoolwork. The athletes are giving their commitment to these universities to represent it and help generate revenue for the schools, and they are not receiving any compensation in return. All they should receive is some sort of small money to help pay for food and the extra costs for going to college. Another major factor that these athletes are undergoing is they're having to put their careers on the line and possibly career-ending injuries that could inhibit their chance to play professionally and earn money for all the work that they have put in throughout their lives. Most athletes are bringing in around, the top athletes at least, are bringing in around $2 million annually for their programs due to wins, and are only receiving a scholarship, which if it is on full, for around $35,000. While the argument is understandable that athletes are receiving free education and national exposure for pro sports, many of these athletes are going to bed hungry due to the lack of money for food. Food is a necessity in life, and that is something that most athletes are struggling to get. These athletes do not have time to hold jobs and help pay for the extra costs that it requires to go to college. The NCAA is running a monopoly, and in the United States that is extremely illegal, and there are laws against that. While the argument is real that student athletes are receiving ample benefits by getting a free education, the fact of the matter is only 60% of athletes are actually on scholarship, and even the ones on scholarship are not receiving enough money to offset the costs that it actually takes to go to college, which are hidden and not included in just straight tuition, housing, and books. The NCAA is making bank on their players and will continue to until something has changed. which is why we the people need to take a stand for these unrepresented athletes in the United States. I thank you very much for your time, and at this time we'll take any questions.